Welcome to Beverly Regional Airport, a small GA airport in the vicinity of Boston in the United States. Today I'm revisiting the Bell 222 by Cowansim. The Bell 222 has been Cowansim's first release, so it's been out there for quite a while. However, it got updated just recently, and I thought I'd give it a spin. Today we're going to fly through Boston Class Bravo airspace to another little GA airport called Cranland, southeast of Boston. 3D modeling looks good, not too shiny, this aircraft, which I would expect from this very vintage but very iconic helicopter. You might know it from the 80s TV series Airwolf, was a little modified for that role. However, we can see the enormously large rotor blades that are typical of the Bell 222, as well as the sponsoons at the sides, in which you can retract your landing gear. This is the 222B model, which features two Lycoming LTS 101-750C engines. Flight characteristics have been compared to those of a Bell Long Ranger. However, the aircraft is said to be quite underpowered, especially at high temperatures. Fast forwarding through most of the startup process, it's pretty simple, just follow the checklist. Just remember to disengage the rotor brake before engine start, which you will find at your right-hand side at the door. I'm going to take a closer look at the startup process because the Bell 222 has a rather unique collective. It is more like a thrust lever on a fixed-wing aircraft, and it has two twist-grip throttles that are mounted side to side. Once we're ready for engine start, we're going to uncover the start buttons on the main panel and press the start button for engine number 1. And once NG reaches 11%, we're going to induce fuel on the left throttle. Once it starts up, we are looking for rotor movement, and we make sure that we do not exceed 900 degrees on the MGT gauge. That's the second gauge from the top. Do appreciate the onset of vibrations programmed here once the huge rotor blades start to turn. The rotor system is actually very similar to Bell's AH-1 Cobra, the first military attack helicopter they produced. Once engine 1 is self-sustaining, we can activate generator number 1 and proceed with starting engine number 2. Zooming out here, you can see that Cowansim added an ADF gauge on the main panel. If you can't see it, simply left-click on the standby artificial horizon. Starting engine number 2 at 11% NG, inducing fuel with the right-hand throttle. Regarding the throttles, there is a two-way idle release switch on the collective, which gives you 5 seconds to move the throttle before it locks again. That means that you will also have to press the idle release switches in order to roll on the throttle. That is a little bit unusual. I could imagine that it is because of the design, so you do not accidentally move the throttles while you push and pull on the collective. Engine's up and running, so we can activate the generators and inverters. Because the throttle works a little bit different in this helicopter, I usually use my mouse instead of my twist grip throttle on the collective. Despite its rather prominent role in media, only a little over 200 Bell 222s were ever produced. The improved versions of the airframe being the Bell 230 and later 430. The 4 of course indicating a 4-bladed rotor system. Now the governor has taken over the throttle control, so we are practically ready to taxi. We're going to depart Beverly Regional westbound VFR, and then we're going to get in contact with Boston Center for permission to transit the Class Bravo airspace of Boston Logan. If you want to download the helicopter route chart for the Boston area, just follow the link in the description. Beverly Regional traffic, helicopter November 951 Whiskey Mike, Bell 222, taxi to runway 34 via Alpha and Foxtrot, Beverly. Now let's taxi. Very important, you have to remember to release the parking brake. And we're going to steer the helicopter via the cyclic, the collective, and the pedals. So in order to get moving, we're going to push forward the cyclic and increase collective just a little bit. Be careful not to tip over the helicopter, so no excessive movements on the collective. In order to stop the helicopter from moving, we can just center the cyclic and reduce collective. However, if you have to do a quick stop, maybe due to traffic on the taxiways, you should assign a toe brake as well. There are two very nice freeware sceneries for Beverly as well as Cranland Airport on the X-Plane forum. Just look for Kilo Bravo Victor Yankee and 28 Mike. Let's speed up the taxi here. For directional control, you just use the anti-torque pedals. We got 10 knots of wind from 340 degrees, so runway 34 will be our best choice for takeoff. We have an overcast at 1,500. We're going to stay at 1,000 feet throughout the flight, so we do not get into IMC conditions. Recommended RPMs are 96% N2 during cruise flight. You might want to beat that up to 100% during takeoff or landing. Beverly Regional, helicopter November 951, Whiskey Mike, Bell 222, Foxtrot, intersection departure, runway 34 westbound, VFR, climbing 1,000. So let's go for the lift of a little bit of left and aft cyclic, as well as left power pedal, and slowly increasing collective. I'm going to try to lift the nose up first, so we do not get any forward movement. And we're up. Liftoff feels very natural, very easy to control, very stable in a hover. You do not have to do too much on the cyclic. There's ETL climbing for 1,000 feet before doing our initial call to Boston Center. Up ahead, the Putnamville Reservoir, and we are looking for the Interstate 95. As I rarely fly helicopters with a landing gear, of course I forgot to retract it after takeoff. I don't think we would damage it at the speed that we are going, however, the wind resistance might slow us down a little in cruise. Turning west here, 270 degrees. Let's listen in on Boston Center.
Flight level 190, Air Canada 1655. Dublin 2112, let me know when you have ATIS Echo. Expect the ILS running 27 approach.
I'm going to contact Boston Center as we cross the Interstate 95 westbound. Boston Center, helicopter November 951, Whiskey Mike.
The 951 Whiskey Mike, Boston.
November 951, Whiskey Mike, Bell 222, climbing west out of Beverly for 1,000. Request transition class Bravo via Tobin and Quare.
951 Whiskey Mike, squawk 4746.
4746, November 951, Whiskey Mike. ATC will assign us a transponder code before clearing us into the class Bravo, so he can see where we are and at what altitude we are flying. Remember, we are entering controlled airspace. After getting my clearance into the class Bravo, I'm going to head back southeast, and I'm looking for the interchange of the Interstate 95 and the US Route 1. This is where the Tobin helicopter route starts at Suntalk Lake. You will find that on the helicopter route chart of the Boston area.
For 951 Whiskey Mike, we're going to contact 3 miles west of the Beverly Airport. Clearance to the Boston class Bravo airspace as requested. Maintain VFR at or below 2,000.
Clear to the class Bravo as requested. Maintain VFR below, at or below 2000. November 951 with command.
Delta 2091 Heavy, radar contact altitude. Delta 2091 Heavy now to 2200, climbing 5000. Delta 2091 Heavy, thank you, climb and...
Cowansims Bell 222 feels rugged and stable, a little bit sluggish at the same time. So it's a joy to fly. It's very easy to control. So a very good platform for beginners in helicopter simulation. Notice the blade slap sound that comes in here while I bank the aircraft. The sound has apparently been redone for this update and it sounds pretty awesome, I have to say. With the initial release I noticed a rather strong inherent side slip, so I had to fly quite a bit left skid low during cruise in order to stop the aircraft from deviating from its course. However, that seems to have been fixed with this update. As I said, joy to fly, it flies like a breeze. Now there is an autopilot installed, so this aircraft would also be suitable for IFR operations. I haven't really checked out the functionality of the autopilot system, because today we are flying VFR, but it might be an alternative to an X-Trident's Bell 412. Speaking of which, I'm going to load up a video soon covering flying IFR on Vatsim with a helicopter.
767, wind 300 and 8, runway 33 left, clear for takeoff. 33 left, clear for takeoff, Fox 767.
Flying the Suntalk Lake, and to our right there is the interchange. Doing a few turns here, very smooth and handling. I'm a little bit high on torque all the time, I just realized that. However, the aircraft does not seem to complain. 80% on the torque gauge would be best value.
Center, Cessna 0817 Sierra is with you at 1,400. Request VFR flight following to White Plains. Delaware 0817 Sierra, Boston Center. Good afternoon. What's your approximate position? Approximately 1 mile southwest of Newport. 0817 Sierra, squawk 4741.
We are joining the US Route 1 southbound into the Boston downtown area. That's the Tobin route.
5,000 or 767. 767, thank you, climb and maintain 14,000.
The major flaw of the 222 was its rather poor performance, especially if you fly at higher altitudes. Boston is at sea level, so not going to be a problem here unless you overload the aircraft, which I very possibly might have done. Seeing as we're pretty high on torque and we're not making that much speed. The UT version that you can also get on the X-Plane store or on Cowansims webpage is a little bit more powerful, and the manufacturer of course fixed the power issues with the Bell 230 and the Bell 430. I also should have beeped down the engine governor to about 96-97%. In cruise we're still at 100. I haven't taken it out of my virtual hangar for quite some time, so I'm not really that familiar with the aircraft. However, I have to say, with the new update, it's very enjoyable to fly. Coming up is the Romney Marsh and a little quarry to our right side, which is there in real life. I'm pretty surprised that explains the full scenery here. Could also be part of the Freeware Scenery that I added. It's the K-Boss Kilo Bravo Oscar Sierra scenery by Mr. X, which includes the downtown area and quite a few important landmarks and buildings.
At 7593, leaving my airspace. Moncton's closed. Radar service terminated. Frequency change approved. Take care. Frequency change approved for JS7593. Thank you. Boston Center, jet 206 at Bangor. Ready taxi runway 33. Jet 206 runway 33, taxi via Alpha. Via Alpha, exit jet 206.
On our 11 o'clock position, Boston Logan Airport. Straight ahead downtown Boston, the Mystic River joining us from the right hand side, and the Charles River going southwest.
Boston Center, JetBlue 2112, we're passing over the Revere waypoint, and this place got old man thing, we got a report. East, say it smells like east. Say it's highly suspicious. We're not sure what's going on down there. We're getting reports of a yeast smell, but thank you. Let's go further. Thank you.
Now you could report reaching Tobin Bridge, however this time the ATC controller was busy on the frequency, so I did not. It's not a mandatory or compulsory reporting point, so unless ATC tells you to report it, you don't necessarily have to, but you can do as a courtesy call.
Canada 1655, cross Daisy at and maintain 8,000, LaGuardia altimeter 2988.
Tobin Bridge below us crossing the Mystic River into Charlestown. The cable bridge that you can see ahead is the Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge. You can fly the Bayi transition or Bayi helicopter route, which starts parallel to runway 14 of Boston Logan Airport and leads over the Boston Harbor area. Recommended for dual-engine aircraft, possibly with floats.
Here's the source of the yeast smell napping currently.
We're flying into this dock here east of the downtown CBD area, joining the Quarry route at the Massachusetts Avenue interchange. Can't really miss it. There's also the South Boston train station coming up right below us. The blue building on the right-hand side is formerly known as the John Hancock Tower, the highest building in Boston. Behind that, the famous Fenway Park baseball stadium. The John Hancock Tower was also known as the Plywood Palace. That is because, due to structural design flaws, windows would actually come loose at high wind speeds and fall down to the streets. The holes that the windows left would temporarily be boarded up with plywood.
2112, turn right heading 240, join the localizer.
We're going to follow the I-93 until we get to a T section, at which point we're going to turn southeast along the US Route 3. In the helicopter route chart, you can see the Dorchester gas tank being indicated as a visual reference point. You will see the gas tank on the little peninsula straight ahead. I'm not sure if I downloaded an additional scenery adding, I think I did, it adds windmills and gas tanks and stacks, as well as churches to explain the full scenery. Unfortunately, I can't remember which one it was.
Maintain 3000, still established on the localizer, clear for the ILS, 27 approach, going south.
Crossing the Neponset River, getting close to exiting the Boston Class Bravo.
Oh, sorry about that, Michigan Air. 2112, wind 3008, runway 27, clear to land. Clear to land, 2112. Fluid 554, let me know when you have ATIS Echo, expect the ILS for 827 approach. We'll expect ILS 27, yep. You Air Canada 1655, contact New York approach 120.8, have a good day. 20.8, you have a good day too, bye.
As indicated on the helicopter route chart, depending on which runways are active at Boston Logan, ATC might require you to fly as low as 300 feet AGL through the Boston Harbor area. However, today did not seem to be a problem. We were cleared to maintain VFR at or below 2,000 feet.
Is it 206 radar contact, the altitude? Passing 4,400, big jet 206. Is it 206, thank you, turn left right Kennebuck. Correct, Kennebuck, jet 206. Left. Left, correct, Echo November, Echo 206. 951 Whiskey Mike, leaving the Boston Class Bravo airspace, radar service terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change, for you, take care.
Squawk VFR, thank you, November 951 Whiskey Mike.
575 Alpha Mike.
Exiting the Boston Class Bravo, we are supposed to squawk VFR, which means that we're going to use the transponder code 1200. We're not in controlled airspace anymore, so we are also allowed to change frequencies. We will follow US Route 3 here until we get to a small lake called Jacobs Pond, at which point we will turn south for Cranland Airport, just north of the town of Hanson. Should have retracted the landing gear, I know. I will advise now on Unicom addressing Cranland traffic. stating my current position and my intentions. My intentions are entering a left-hand downwind for the runway 36. Cranland traffic, helicopter November 951 Whiskey Mike Bell 222 is 6 miles north, 1,100 feet, inbound for a left downwind runway 36, Cranland. I will advise again once I enter the traffic pattern. Now, seeing as I get no response on Unicom, I can safely assume that there is nobody at that airport right now. However, if there would be VFR traffic at this airport, I might need to advise a little more often than I do in this demo flight here. There is a cranberry field located next to the airport, which probably gave Cranland its name. It apparently is a very popular destination for VFR flights around the South Boston area. Flying 180 degrees now to join a left downwind for runway 36. Cranland traffic, helicopter November 951 Whiskey Mike, left downwind runway 36. I'm initiating my descent here, trying to slow down the aircraft as well. My base leg will not be very long, so I'm going to advise the base leg and the turn to final at the same time. Cranland traffic helicopter November 951 Whiskey Mike, left base turning final runway 36. If you are smarter than me and you have actually retracted the landing gear, you will get a warning horn if you have not deployed the landing gear as you get below 30 knots of airspeed. Coming in a little high here, so I will use the full runway for deceleration. Notice the cranberry fields east of the airport. Decel and descend feels pretty natural, no surprises here. I was a little bit high and fast on my downwind lag already. I'm gonna aim for the runway threshold of runway 18 here, and let's do a pedal turn and hover taxi back to parking. We can see a little bit of translating tendency. You notice my cyclic is offset to the left of center. The aircraft is very smooth to control and I hover. Let's do a right pedal turn. Simply reducing the amount of left pedal input to initiate a turn. I also nudge the helicopter a little bit to the right by right cyclic inputs, and I try to maintain a stationary hover. When turning the tail into the wind, most helicopters tend to become a little unstable. And as you can see, I'm getting blown a little bit to the left side, so I have to increase right cyclic input. I'm going to take that first exit here. Now with these nice little cranberry fields here, you could use that scenery for practicing crop dusting operations. Maybe I do a video on that, either with Dreamfall's Schweitzer or with the MD500 by Cowansims, which also just recently has been updated, and I think it got a spray kit as well. Now as I vacate the runway, I'm going to advise that on the traffic frequency as well. Cranland traffic helicopter 951 Whiskey Mike cleared the runway. Now let's set it down, maintaining a stable hover and slowly reducing collective. You will hover a little bit nose high in the 222. I'm feeling for the ground with the rear wheels, and once I touch down, which is right about now, I'm still keeping the helicopter's attitude stable before further reducing collective and setting down the nose wheel. Now let's look at it from the outside. being a stable hover and a slow and controlled descent. I really love the animations of the landing gear. Once I fully lower the collective, you can really see the helicopter's weight pushing down on the wheels. So all in all, I think the Bell 222 by Cowansim is a very good simulation. It's a very stable platform, so very suitable for beginners or for IFR flying. It even has an autopilot. The sounds are pretty awesome and the flight characteristics are, in my opinion, very believable. The 222 is said to behave like a sort of a big Bell 206, and I think Cowansim got that right. Shutdown is easy, just reduce the throttles to ground idle, 2 minutes cool down. With this aircraft being on wheels, it is very susceptible to move when you apply the rotor brake, so do that gently. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you around next time.